Yeah, let's start with this. So, awareness. Some of the stuff I'm about to cover with you, probably you absolutely already know. You may, and you may just not have looked at it in the same light. So here's the deal. Number one, there are three things right now that I would say are vital. I'll cover those three things with you in a second. Challenge that we're seeing across the country is getting sellers under contract and buyers under contract. That's not a guess. It's a real thing. It is the reality. It's not scarcity. It is what it is. Here's the awareness piece. One, we're going to start with motivation. Okay. Now, this is the one that you probably already understand. I'm going to say it again. And that is, in a sense, agents are pretty good at extracting information. They're not necessarily good at uncovering motivation. And they're two completely different things. So, and this is showing up really fast. So if somebody wants to sell their two-story house to get to a single-story house, well, agent's like, that's great. Let's do a CMA for you. Let's figure out how much you owe. Let's figure out how much we can get out of your property. What's your timeline? When do you want to be in your single-level house? Where do you want to go? All the cool shit. And that's where people are struggling, because when you don't have the motivation, you have no leverage. And I'll tell you right now that there are three S's, and without the three S's, you don't have it. And the first S is specifics. Whatever somebody's looking to accomplish, we need specifics about it, not general. Somebody wants to make more money, that is general. Specifics is exactly how much, by when, blah, blah, blah. Now we're getting specifics. That's the first S. The second S, significance. So what? Why does it matter? Significance, also underneath significance, there's a part of it that has, this is the who else, and it's the impact. Who else does it impact? Who else does it impact? Who else does it impact? Why does it matter, and who else does it impact? That's significance. The third S, sacrifice. What do you want to give up in order to make it happen? It's very similar to understanding the motivation behind the goal, but it's the same thing when it comes to understanding motivation behind what somebody's looking to accomplish. They're the same thing. Are you specific? Do you understand the significance and who else it's going to impact? And are you clear on what the sacrifice will be in order to achieve it? So the first scenario where you're collecting information, it's really tough to get ahead of it. It's tough to have a reduction call. It's tough to call them and tell them what to do next, because now you're just spinning in circles and hoping and praying that they'll make the decision themselves, because you haven't done your job at taking them back to why it matters in the first place. So when somebody has the three S's, it actually sounds like, hey, it's the two-story person that doesn't just want to go to a single-story house. That's the guy that has the jacked up knee. Having struggles getting to the second story because that's where his bedroom is. He spends 50% of the time sleeping on the couch. When he does make it upstairs, he's in so much pain that his freaking bride can't stand to be around him. His kids don't want to be around him because he's always in a bad mood. He's not going out anymore because his knee's jacked up, and his whole life sucks. So when push comes to shove, and now we have to make the sacrifice of the 50 grand adjustment to get this house sold for you to get to your single level house, that conversation is not very hard. Are you willing to sacrifice the 50 grand that you thought you were going to get in order to get your life, your wife, your freaking kids, your relationships back? Yes or no? That's real motivation. If I come back to you with the 50 grand in order to get you where you're at, and you know what you're willing to sacrifice, you know how much pain you're in, and you're like, absolutely, without a doubt, I can't do it. No matter what, here's all the reasons why, then I know I can set you free. It's the agents that are living in the middle that aren't clear about that are getting slaughtered.
Yeah.
The second thing this is urgency. The challenge is anybody that's been in this industry for 4 or 5 years or less, the market has created the urgency for them. They don't know how to actually do it. The only way to create urgency is shrinking time or shrinking the focus or a combination of both. There's no other way to do it. The challenge that the buyer's agents are facing right now is the same thing. They are not, now that you have 20 options, right? Like 6 months ago, all you did was call up a buyer and say, hey, a property came on the market. You want to put your offer in? There's 15 other people. Here's when we need to have it in by. Waive contingencies, do X, Y, and Z. Hope and pray you get it. The market created that urgency. The agent didn't. Now you have 20 options. In order to do it now, you have to get those 20 options down to 1 or 2. You have to shrink the focus. You have to stop focusing on the 5-mile radius, figure out exactly what matters most now that they have options, and get them down to the street that they want to be in or the neighborhood so they only have 1 or 2 options. That's shrinking the focus. And then shrinking time in order to fear of loss or whatever. You don't have 3 months left to make stuff happen for all of 2022. You probably have about, 4 weeks left max. Holy crap, I thought I had 3 months down to 4 weeks. I better get my stuff together. That's urgency. And then the third step is expectations. People that think that expectations from 6 months ago are the same as today are delusional and living on a different planet. Explaining the reality of what's actually going on out there for buyers and sellers matters. So when you have clear expectations, you've shrunk the focus and shrunk the time, and you absolutely understand their motivation, all of this becomes easy. Without it, it's really hard. And it's not their fault. I want to say, oh my gosh, they should have been doing it all the time. But when you're in a market where speed is more important than skill, you just haven't had to do it. So anyway, if there's any skills that you guys can currently work on, it's those 3 right there. So motivation is 1, how to create urgency is number 2, and clear expectations is number 3. All of those are skill sets, and they're all different. And so they also understand the ability to shrink time and and giving people examples of that. All work expands to fill the time allowed. Isn't that weird? No matter your hyper focus or whatever, when you're starting to go on vacation and you're losing time, how much more intentional, focused, prepared, like all that urgency just kicks in. That's why I'm saying when you absolutely uncover their true motivation and you create urgency by shrinking time and they choose not to do it, then at least you've done everything in your power within your control, and now they're not as motivated as they thought they were. That's okay. Now they're not ready, willing, and able. They're able, they're ready, they're not willing. And until that changes, you got to get them off your pipeline report. Because that's the other thing I see right now is that, remember, clarity is a process of elimination, not addition. In order to get clarity, you got to take people that aren't all 3. If they're not ready, willing, and able, and you have them all clumped together, I got 3 people that are ready, willing, and able, and I got 17 that are ready and willing, but they're not able, and you have them all in the same pipeline, they all look the same. They feel the same. And now you're spending all your time on the 17 people that can't actually do it, and you're losing the 3 because you put them all in the same category. And then remember, the awareness shows up because I do this coast to coast, have multiple conversations. This market is impacting everyone. There are and that's why, I say reestablishing expectations with clients. You probably should reestablish expectations with agents. There are people that are tracking at a pretty high level, and some of them it's pretty extreme. Some of them are doing 20 contacts per appointment, and in some cases that's a 3x multiplier right now. 3 times more effort to get the same result as they did 6 months ago. That's just that's the reality of it. There's a lot of uncertainty in the marketplace right now, and the one thing that will eliminate uncertainty is consistency. The ones that are consistent, having 20, 25, 30 conversations a day, they wake up every morning knowing that you signed up as an independent contractor to go out and you wake up every day to go get a new job, basically. That's what we're looking for, right? Like I need somebody to hire me. The people that are waking up with that level of intensity and urgency and intentionality, they'll be fine. They'll be totally fine. The ones that aren't, God help them. Because remember, I can't motivate anybody. You can't motivate anybody. Gary can't motivate anybody. We can create urgency, sure, but urgency and motivation are two totally different things. So if I'm bringing on a new agent, one of my questions might be, hey, if you knew that in order to succeed in this role that you would be required to have at least 30 or 40 conversations a day, would you still sign up? Yeah, because one of the biggest pieces of all this, anybody, is have they made a decision that regardless of what gets put in front of them or regardless of market conditions, that this is going to be their long-term career? Yeah, that's the biggest thing right there. If you haven't decided yet, it's going to be painful. Mm-hmm. And if you have made the decision, because now that's death, right? You've cut off all other options. Then are you prepared? Are you truly prepared and willing to do, I don't want to say whatever it takes because that's general. Are you prepared to do what's necessary to win in this market, which may require 30 to 40 conversations a day? But the better you get, the more fun you have. And all we're doing is, remember, we're just being a fiduciary. That's all we're really doing. And as a fiduciary, the only other thing that we do is help people make great decisions. Again, decisions, helping people make great decisions. But how do you do that if you don't have all of the data and all their motivation? Yeah, the other thing, it sounds like a broken record, but it's like, what's the best way for me to say this? If you just go back to real estate agent 101, say the 5 things that we're responsible for, or generating business, following up on the business that we generated, going on appointments, negotiating contracts, and practicing our skills to get better. Isn't it that simple? So think about that. It's that simple. Now, you guys know who Nick Saban is? Nick Saban is the coach for Alabama football, right? Arguably the best coach. You either love him or you hate him because he's amazing at what he does, how many championships he's won. Nobody's even close. Now, Nick Saban was also trained years and years ago under Bill Belichick. Okay. And Bill Belichick, love him or hate him, arguably one of the greatest football coaches of all time because of how many Super Bowls he's won. And Saban will tell you this: at spring training, he looks for 2 things. He has 2 focuses. One, he gets the right people on the bus right away, or the right people on the bus in the right seat as fast as he possibly can. And the second thing he focuses on is how many people he can get off of it. Now, what he actually brings back by being coached under Belichick was he was in awe because in Belichick's, in the locker room, in the coaching room, where you could have all these signs of motivation and things that help you think about things differently. He had nothing in there except for one sign. One sign. Guess what it said? Do your job. So to bring that back to light, understanding Saban, you probably haven't if you don't recognize him at that capacity, but I will tell you this. People that do know who Saban is have absolutely, without a doubt, watched a game where Alabama's up by 40 or 50 points. I guarantee it, because it happens a lot. And there may be 2 minutes left in the game, up by 50 points, and they let the offense score a large play on the defense. And Saban loses his mind because that player did not do their job. And there's too much at stake. That's the whole thing. If you put me in front of agents right now, I will tell them your career is in jeopardy. If you're not willing to do your job, your career is in jeopardy. If you're willing to do your job, this is going to be freaking amazing decade. If you're not, you should get out now. When you have the right people in the right seat, the right inspiration that's willing to do their job, fun. So I guess that's how we leave it. Let's just go have some fun.